Welcome back. After cashing another 6.8 units on UFC 310, we are now riding a 6-week win streak. There are some fun fights coming up this weekend, so let's jump right into UFC Fight Night, Covington versus Buckley, to see what the model thinks. Starting off the night at strawweight, we have Piera Rodriguez versus Josephine Knudsen. Rodriguez started off her career at 9-0 before suffering back-to-back losses in her last 2 fights. The most recent of those losses was due to intentional headbutts. Josephine is currently undefeated in MMA with 8 wins, all but one of those coming by decision. Before making the transition to MMA, she was a kickboxer holding a 4-2 record. Again, seeing a decision in all but one bout. Knudsen is the book favorite here, with her odds being set at -230. The model has this fight much closer, but we will still be betting Josephine here. With this fight likely going to a decision, we just have to hope for adequate judging. Our first men's fight takes place at bantamweight between Davy Grant and Ramon Tavares. Most of the stats here are very similar, but it is notable that Davy is 8 years older at 38. He has been away from the sport for more than 500 days and pulled out of a fight earlier this year due to a neck injury that required surgery. He is an exciting fighter, earning bonuses in 5 of his last 7 outings, but hasn't gotten a nod from the judges in the last 4 years. Tavares will be returning for his second fight in the UFC after earning a split decision in his debut to avenge his Contender Series loss to Sahir Sidi. I find it funny that Ramon missed weight in both fights against Sidi, putting him over the limit in 2 of his last 3 bouts. Tavares is a small favorite at the books, and the model thinks his chances are even better. Honestly, I don't care if the dude makes weight or not, but I'd be pissed if this fight gets scrapped because of it. Our second and final women's fight of the night takes place at flyweight between Miranda Maverick and Jamie Lynn Horth. Maverick holds a 7-3 record in the UFC and is currently on a 3-fight win streak. She is 7 years younger than Horth and will be the shorter fighter by 4 inches. Jamie Lynn is 2-1 in the UFC. She will be making a quick return after getting back in the win column early last month. She entered the UFC with 5 stoppage victories, but has left it to the judges in every promotional fight so far. Maverick is a very large -600 favorite at the books, and the prediction model likes her chances. I think her grappling should be more than enough to control this fight. Next up at featherweight, we have Miles Johns versus Felipe Lima. Johns is currently on a 4-fight unbeaten streak at bantamweight, but he hasn't fought at 145 pounds since 2017. Lima accepted and won a short notice fight at featherweight earlier this year. Before that opportunity, he had never fought at 145 pounds. He is currently riding a 13-fight win streak and hasn't lost since his professional debut. The bookmakers have a ton of confidence in Lima, and the model is very strong on him as well. I have no idea why this fight is taking place at featherweight, but I really hope both of these guys move back down after this one. The next fight is between actual featherweights Sean Woodson and Fernando Padilla. Woodson is on a 6-fight unbeaten streak, seeing a decision in 5 of those bouts. His only loss came in 2017 by Darce choke. Padilla is 5 years younger, but will be giving up a small amount in both height and reach. He has won 4 of his last 5 and finished his last fight by Darce. Woodson is a small favorite at the books, while the model sees a very tiny advantage for Padilla. I'm expecting this to be a fun striking battle that isn't very likely to hit the ground. Drakkar Klose will fight Joel Alvarez in our first of 2 lightweight fights. Klose is riding a 4-fight win streak where he was the favorite in all of them. He holds a UFC record of 9-2 and has fought 8 of those to a decision. Alvarez has a 6-2 record in the promotion and hasn't seen a decision since his debut. He will be the much bigger guy in this matchup, being 5 inches taller and having a 7-inch reach advantage. At the books, Joel is a big -425 favorite, but the model is leaning towards Drakkar for some reason. This is the most unfavorable odds Klose has ever seen, but he has cashed as a +200 underdog in the past. The second lightweight fight will see Michael Johnson face off against Ottman Azaitar. Johnson has been in the UFC since 2010 and holds a record of 14-15 in the promotion. He has won 3 of his last 5 fights, but only 4 of his last 10. Azaitar is coming off back-to-back TKO losses, so it may be a good thing that he has been away for more than 500 days. Before those 2 losses, he was undefeated at 13-0 with 12 finishes, 10 of them coming in the first round. The line at the books has Johnson as a -210 favorite, while the model thinks it's about time for Ottman to get his career back on track. Hopefully the time away was good for Azaitar, and he can cash as a small underdog. Opening the main card at light heavyweight will be Navajo Sterling versus Tuco Tokos. Sterling will be making his UFC debut as a 5-0 prospect. At 27, he is 7 years younger and will also have a massive reach advantage of almost 9 inches. Tokos will be making his second walk to the octagon after losing his debut by first-round submission. He has finished 8 of his 10 professional wins, but has failed to win in any major promotion. The newcomer Sterling is a huge -800 favorite at the books, and the model also views this matchup strongly in favor of him. 8 units is a very expensive risk to take on a new fighter, so I'm really hoping Navajo lives up to the hype. Back down at bantamweight, Daniel Marcos will fight Adrian Yanez. Daniel is still undefeated at 16-0 with 3 wins and 1 no contest in the UFC. Yanez is coming off a first-round win that saw him bounce back from 2 consecutive TKO losses. In his 8 UFC bouts, he has earned 5 performance bonuses. The bookmakers have Marcos as a moderate -210 favorite, while the model sees it very close but still has him edging it out at -103. It is likely very close because Yanez has many more bouts in major promotions, but it still likes Daniel, so that's where we'll be placing our bet. We've got one more light heavyweight bout, this one between Dustin Jacoby and Vitor Petrino. Another notable age gap with Jacoby being 9 years older. He started his UFC career with 6 wins and 1 draw. Unfortunately, he has since lost 4 of his last 5 and will be coming into this fight off of 2 losses. Petrino was undefeated until his last bout that saw him lose to Anthony Smith by first-round submission. He has finished 8 of his 11 professional wins. At the books, Petrino is a -300 favorite, and the model generated one of its largest spreads with him at -278. I think we've all got our fingers crossed that the Smith loss was a fluke. The feature bout takes place at flyweight where Manel Kape will fight Bruno Silva. Kape suffered a loss in his last fight, which snapped a 4-fight win streak. His record shows a very high finishing rate, but he has been to 5 decisions out of his last 7 UFC bouts to date. Silva began his UFC career in 2019 with 3 consecutive losses. One of those was later overturned to a no contest. He has since finished 4 straight fights, all within 2 rounds, and received a bonus for each of them. Despite Bruno's impressive run, both the books and model have Kape as the favorite here. I'd rather have risked 1 unit on Silva here, but we'll do as the model tells us and bet Kape. Cub Swanson will face Billy Quarantillo at featherweight in the co-main event. Cub has been around the UFC for a long time with a record of 14-10 in the promotion. He's had some impressive runs, but has only won 4 of his 11 bouts over the last 7 years. He is also getting quite old for the lighter divisions, having just turned 41 last month. Billy is also getting up there in age, but with the fight being just a week after his 36th birthday, he is still 5 years younger than Cub. The book and the model both prefer Quarantillo in this fight, with the odds being very similar. This matchup won't affect the division much, but it should be exciting. Finally, in the main event, we have Colby Covington facing off against Joaquin Buckley. Covington stepped up as a late replacement when Ian Gary was rebooked for last week's card. He has gone 2-3 in his last 5, with all 3 losses coming in title fights. It's been almost exactly a year since his last fight, and I'm honestly quite surprised that he even stepped up. As you can see from his record, he is a decision machine, earning only a single finish in the last 9 years. Buckley is 6 years younger and will have a 4-inch reach advantage. He has been much more active, this being his 4th fight in 2024. He is currently on a 5-fight win streak that began with his move down to 170 pounds last year. The books have Buckley as a minus 280 favorite, and the model likes him as well at minus 138. I don't think Colby has the same drive that he once did. If Buckley can keep this fight at range, it should be an easy win. This card has 13 fights, and the learning model predicts the book favorites to win in 10 of them. So many favorites leads to a pretty expensive night, costing us just over 36 units. We could win as much as 16.3 units on this card for a 45% return on investment. That's all we've got for you this week. Thanks again for watching. We are currently on a 6-week winning streak, so hit that sub button if you'd like to make some money with us. Good luck on all your bets this weekend, and we'll see you in a few weeks for Fight Night Dern versus Hebus 2.